I want to show you my experience with the Ficsit Farming mod, which did lead to a very nice outcome regards biofuel. And I also show you my own mistakes and misconceptions, so you know what's on the horizon. And I reckon with this concept you could build something way bigger and way more impressive than what you see now. You recall maybe from one of my first videos that I experimented with the MK1 level of the Ficsit Farming mod. I had no idea what it's for, so I built it in the middle of the dune desert. Yeah, there was some water nearby. And the stuff's happily producing. I link it across the road. And across the road I filter the output of the MK1 farming stations. And that output includes lots of biomass capsules. See these green white thingies? Yeah, these are biomass capsules, which originally I just had been throwing in a big container and the overflow got shredded in the awesome sink. After some time I thought, yeah, maybe that's a wasted opportunity. Let's have a look what I can do with this. And I built the building nearby, where you can see me working with a few constructors, and they are consuming these biomass capsules to give me biomass. So the Ficsit Farming mod biomass capsule become biomass, and biomass can be used in vanilla, but also like I've done here with the refined power mod to run a biomass heater and give me some energy. So while I then afterwards progressed with my motor factory, and you see in the background the modular heavy frames factory, I thought maybe I should look again a little bit in this opportunity of what I can do with the biomass. And you see me here in the area on the western side of the northern forest, which is in a bit of an experimental whip stage. I left buildings open because I still didn't know really where I want to go. And I did build there an MK2 Ficsit Farming area. You see it here. So just one seeder, MK1 pipes coming in, MK2 Ficsit Farming mod stations. Yeah, it was a blind try and not very efficient. Most of the stations are not really running. But I got a feeling for the concept this way, so it was more a kind of learning curve for myself. But I did notice already, oh, I get again a bunch of biomass capsules. So maybe I can use that opportunity, and if later on I'm able to optimize the output of the station a bit more, then maybe this could become really something. So I decided I'd punch in a smart splitter, and that one leads the biomass capsules to the building that you see behind, where I'm using them. That process again needs water, so luckily there's a lake nearby, and I'm using them there for ta-ta refineries, yeah, which are delivering me biofuel, which will then burn in generators. Well, that's the very first experimental stage. Just water coming in. At that stage I had only 2 refineries, which are getting solid biofuel. And that solid biofuel is transferred into liquid biofuel, pure vanilla. The thing is, that nicely runs generators. But, and that's the interesting part of the story, I can use these constructors where biomass gets created into solid fuel, and by punching in one summer sloop, it duplicates the output. So the little bit insufficient amount of biofuel, biomass capsules becomes duplicated when transferred into solid biofuel, and the same with the biomass constructors, just one summer sloop. So with that, I'm not just duplicating, I'm actually quadrupling the stuff, which is pretty cool. And that helped me to run these 2 refineries. That's not yet the optimum setup, but it was at that stage just a tryout. And I could do even more duplication here by doing more summer sloops into the refineries, but I didn't have those summer sloops at that stage. And the outcome also was a bit wonky. So I used it at that stage primarily to get a constant flow of biofuel, linking it downhill with a long pipe just thrown in, because if I want to have packaged biofuel, and it turned out packaged biofuel is a really cool stuff. Never used it before in a playthrough. Always thought turbo fuel and rocket fuel is the biggest thing ever for flying around with a jetpack. But I then learned biofuel is actually way better because it can stay way longer in the air. So if you're confronted with some large spiders or some spitting animals which like to shoot you down, then it's really great if you can stay for a long time in the air, just circling on top of them, and then shoot them down. So I get my biofuel here on my hand by the dimensional portal. So whenever I run around, I do my exploring, I have biofuel at hand, which is so cool. So I really recommend set up yourself, based on this experience on this playthrough, set yourself up a station where you produce constantly biofuel. But it requires plastic. That's why I've done it in the area where I did my turbo fuel, because there's a packager already. I already have a plastic production, which I then can utilize to get my biofuel packaged. So I'm looking for more milestones. What can I do? And during the playthrough then, these milestones told me something about apples. I have no idea what for. Doggo House, Doggo Show, yeah, looks cool, wants apples, so whatever. I punched it somewhere. I had no idea what's the main purpose later on. That's why I just punched it somewhere, and I decided why not throwing into the red forest and build myself a little station there just to get out the right amount of those apples. That worked nicely. And again, in this area you may be aware there's a lot of nasty wildlife. That's where having the biofuel at hand turned out to be really beneficial. There's just 2 spiders nearby, and I only survived that because I was able to circle a lot in the air. So having learned about that, and what I can do with it, and apples and so on, I learned that maybe I can do something with the Doggo House. And I decided to go for another platform. Here you see another platform being placed in for the Ficsit Farming mod. The surface is done again with the upside down mod. I love it when I have a bit of vegetation there in between. It looks all a bit more integrated into nature. And here the main ingredients then are coming together. See it here coming together into a cooking station, and then the Doggo House. Again, this can be done bigger. So since you're now aware of what you could do with it, you can do it bigger, because the setup you've seen just flying in here, that is enough for me to reliably support just 9 doggos. But it can handle up to 16. And these doggos have a very nice side effect. So yeah, have a look into that, how much you can expand it. Just ensure that you have a steady flow of input matching for it. I tried 10 doggos, 1 died off because there was fluctuation with water at the point in time. So I left it with 9, which runs quite stable. Having heaps of products coming out, and again lots of biocapsules from this process. And I get stuff directly out of the Doggo House whenever the doggos are finding something. That's the beauty about the Doggo House. Whenever doggos are finding something, it gets linked out immediately. I filter out whatever I want, but from the whole production process, I'm getting biocapsules. And these biocapsules are then again linked into that building you have seen before. So I'm now having a bigger input of biocapsules. And to make this process interesting, you need a lot of biocapsules. I'll link it down to the production line. Do a little bit of a better feeding of my constructors on lower level, and on the upper level you see the output improved, and I'm meanwhile at 4 refineries, but they are not really running perfectly all the time. So the output still is a bit meh, yeah. Even with summer sloops in it, I'm not getting a really steady flow yet, but it was enough to try a second line, and I'm having now 2 lines going down. Erected a new building here, originally 15 by 2, as you see here, which I later on reduced to 13 by 2, because the same flow is supporting the biofuel packaging. But if I want to have the generators run constantly, it turned out to be more beneficial to have a bit less generators here. And the other line is going through the turbofuel building, gets out at the end again, into a further building, which I really like because it looks so cool with the trees matching to the environment. And there I have another pack of 15 by 2 generators. And now I got the recipe for the cooking hub. I looked on that before, did the Doggo shoe before. I was not really realizing what's the benefit beyond just having doggos there. And the recipe for food there did not really animate me for trying anything. But later on came another one where, you see it here, where I got apple pies. That's interesting. Apple pies. And I mean, apple pies are tasty. I'm living in Australia, so I can tell you apple pie here is yummy yum. So I thought, yeah, just for the fun of it, let's do apple pie. I have no idea what for. What kind of animals shall I now feed with the apple pie? No idea. So I decided, let's try it out. So a little bit closer to my startup factory, I implemented another platform for the Ficsit Farming mod. There's also a bit of water around, left and right. So I needed 2 sources of water, as you can see, coming in into a supply ring. Meanwhile, I got MK2 pipes, so they're very nice. And I learned that I have to have a few more seed extractor for really getting the right amount out of it to run the stations. Sorting all the stuff, getting rid of the crap, and having a good flow into the stations all the time is a bit of a more tricky setup. You will find it yourself. It's just a little bit of try and error, be done relatively quickly. And these are producing now very happily. And that platform in the cooking station produces me the apple pies, which I get via a dimensional portal onto my hand. So the question is, what is it for? You can have it on your hand. No, scrolling. Where is it? It would be so good if that list would be alphabetically sorted. There's my apple pie. I can grab as many as I want, and I can use them to have it on my hand and then eat them. They're working like the berries. If my health is low, it gives me health back, and I would say at least twice as much as the mushrooms. So they're very quick and efficient healing. So if you're in the middle of a fight with some spiders, your health is very much down, or if you have a second in the air, then just throwing in 1 apple pie and you're back again and you're good. And you can continue the fight with the spiders. That is very, very handy stuff again for exploring. Fun. And it gives me again a huge amount of biocapsules. Really, really good stuff. And instead of sinking them, of course I link them again into my building where I had a bit of a shortage. And now with that, and having now summer sloops in those refineries too, my production get duplicated when I transform the biomass capsules into biomass, duplicated again when I transform it into solid fuel, and duplicated again when I create biofuel out of it. So with all these duplications, and that requires that you need to do some proper exploring before to get enough of the summer sloops, I was able really now to run these outputs in a nice better way. You see here, it's still a bit wonky. So even with the 3 stations, I'm not yet really there. I get more output, yes, way more. But let's have a look. That bing, they're going yellow, so they have a break in between. I'm still not getting the optimal output. And the root cause for that, as it turns out, was my very first station, which I did build with MK1 pipes. I thought it's just only the seeders. I improved the amount of seeders, more seeding stations there. But when I swapped the MK2 pipes with, the MK1 pipes with MK2 pipes, and with that improved the water flow, suddenly all these MK2 plant stations really did work, and I got a way bigger output. And with that, I of course also got a way bigger amount of biofuel capsules. Now when I'm telling you all the stuff about biofuel capsules, and you can see here that I even had an overflow now after doing so, let me tell you, you could increase that even more. The Ficsit Farming mod gives you the chance to transfer all the food that you produce but not use into fertilizer. And if you have even more water, that could be mixed to become fertilizer into your planting station, which then have an even higher output, and with that would create even more biocapsules. So all this, what you see here, could be improved drastically if you want to go for it. You just need bigger platforms and you need a lot of water nearby to proceed all that. But it could be really fun. Keep in mind, I was running this blindly, and I'm very happy that then finally all these stations have been running nicely. And they all got enough. There's still open slots here where the fertilizer could be linked in. In my game, I produced only via water. I'm not using fertilizer. So all the food or the pumpkins there, which are coming out, get just synced, wasted. That could be used for further setting up more production and getting more biocapsules out of it. The gain of the energy is quite impressive. So I'm giving you the numbers of my playthrough here, which is not optimized. I reduced later on the first platform from 15 to 13, because in between I wanted to have an even flow. The other one platform is still 15, so 15 by 2. That means in total I'm running 56 biogenerators. Each does 250 megawatt. So I'm having a total output of 14,000 megawatts here. Now keep in mind, with introduction of fertilizer, bigger stations, more water available, I'm pretty sure you could easily double or quadruple this, or even go bigger than that, and run a lot of biogenerators here. The downturn is I'm doing this all with summer sloops, and the amount of summer sloops in the game is of course limited. So the more you expand, but not getting more summer sloops, you would have less output for even bigger setups. A less impressive increase of output. So finding the right balance there may be the tricky part, but it's really fun to play with. So for a mid-game setup, using the Ficsit Farming mod this way is really nice. And I'm now having enough biocapsules, I'm having a full load of 600 going through each MK2 pipe, which is a maximum. So my 2 pipes are used to the fullest, and they happily deliver the full load downstream. I'm implemented a a little bit of storage in between to have a bit of a buffer. That turned out to be handy because the generators have a different demand depending on when they start sucking in fuel. And well, I think the result looks quite nicely. See, the pipe really runs nice. Full throughput on both ends. All generators are constantly evenly running. Yep. Again, in between I did build it a bit back to ensure that everything runs nice, even in case my biofuel packager kicks in. Yeah, if in doubt, I always love to play a little bit with lower numbers to ensure that everything runs evenly. And autosave, of course, in the middle of it. And the other station, which I just love because of all the trees, and it's really fun with the decoration mod and the upside down mod when you can set up a roof, bit matching to the environment nearby. I wish the shadows would be better. The game overall has some shadows which are very but hey, it's fun. I'm splitting the pipe here in 2 lines to have a more even flow. So the top line just goes simply to the end and going in there. So the flashing is a bit more under control. And with that, all the generators are working nicely and evenly. Hooray! Yeah. So you can't go endlessly with the fuel generators. You really have to stick to something. So as it turned out here, 30 biofuel generators on a fully loaded MK2 Bio-Fuel pipe does a good job. Now if you do more platforms later on, keep in mind always the demand of water. If you also may like to introduce working with a fertilizer to have a bigger output, you may be able to run way more pipes and with that way more biofuel generators. And that is something you can start more or less already in the mid-game area, so mid-game time. So that is a fun project. I did not expect this to come from the Ficsit Farming mod, to be honest, because I never understood the bigger purpose of it. But getting so much biofuel out of it, boy, that is fun. Yeah, this is already close to the end of phase 4. You can see I finished off a little bit all the VIP stations here. Played a little bit with solar from the refined power mod, but I'm not impressed because the solar isn't working at night, understandably, but there are no batteries really saving it and then doing an even outflow of energy at night, which would be necessary to have a benefit from the solar intake. With that, yeah, would be nice if you could do with the solar from refined power mod an independent energy loop which has via the batteries only one output, and these batteries giving you an even amount during day and night. But those batteries are missing. That's why I didn't continue with the refined power mod there regards solar. Even while I like solar and have solar on the roof myself at home. Yeah, the MK2 pipes here really have been the breakthrough. So my recommendation would be, if you go into this and you really want to go for biofuel, start the story only after you had MK2 pipes available, because you need that high intake of water to keep this running. And yeah, having better conveyor belts with a higher throughput is very beneficial, because lots and lots of items are moved and that can easily clog up. Yeah, I like the doggos. You see I'm having 9 here. With the current production I can't feed more constantly and evenly. I had 10, I told you already before, and 1 died off because they have been very thirsty, these guys. Looks good, it's fun. The main thing about that one, and I think I can show it a little bit better here. The main thing of that is really the output that you get. See, all the stuff coming in, MK2 all running. The bakery is busy. Doggo 2 produced, here's the area which is interesting. So we have a constant flow of stuff which the doggos do find. Usually you have to come and pet them and then check if something's there. Here it's getting extracted automatically. And I can filter that with a programmer splitter, partially because some stuff can't be shredded, which get found, like the Paleberry ones. They would lock up my awesome sink, so I need to sort them out. And other stuff I just don't need. So everything which is of interest for me, or everything that would lock the awesome sink, gets sorted out in a big container, and here is the big benefit. I'm not having byproducts. I'm getting also stuff for biofuel capsules, for biocapsules, DNA capsules. Yeah, see here the remains from animals. And I'm getting lots of power slugs. That's cool. These doggos do find power slugs. And power slugs is a big topic. And that's a huge benefit. Yeah. I have a rubbish station nearby, so in case I want to get rid of stuff, I can just throw it in there and sink it. But flying now back to my starter factory, which is relatively nearby, I can use all these nice power slugs, but I didn't have to go exploring for. Yeah, they all got found automatically by my very lovely doggos in the Doggo House. And I just pick it up there from the extractor. I have all those immediately on my hand. And all I need to do is running back to my startup factory, where I have a little multiplier station. I think I showed already in the last video. And that is not really so cool, because I don't need to run around to find any of these power slugs. I just pick them up at the Doggo House. Then all I do is run to my startup factory, which I'm reaching now. And in my startup factory, I'm running to my multiplier. And that works similar to what I've just shown you before regards the biocapsules. It is actually only one constructor that has a summer sloop in it. And that multiplier, here we are, has an input box, an output box, and in between the constructor with a summer sloop. At the moment it's on yellow power slugs, so I can throw in all my yellow power slugs that I have on my hand. And the summer sloop then duplicates the output, so I'm getting way more power shards out of it. So with that setup, where Ficsit Farming mod, having an automatism for the collection of findings done by my doggos, which delivers me a constant flow of power slugs, and this multiplier, I'm getting heaps of power shards off of it. You see here, never in any place where I had before, I had so many power slugs, so many power shards. So I'm not even producing them yet. So in phase 5, there's a chance to produce your power shards. I don't need that. And I have it way earlier. That is so comfortable, so beneficial. All possible thanks to the Ficsit Farming mod. And I really strongly suggest you to try this, because it is just so cool. I like it. Yeah, there's one more little thing I like to say regards the flow of stuff. You recall I had one pipe going into a building with biofuel generators, and on the other side it goes to a packager. That can cause a massive sloshing. That means fuel in that pipe goes back and forth, and as a result, on the main line, I'm not having an equal flow. So punching in there a vent very close to where it goes off is extremely beneficial. Having a vent there, which allows the flow only into one direction, stops the sloshing. And with that, you have a way more even flow of fluids on your main line, which is absolutely necessary to keep all your generators running all the time. So yeah, the vents are your friend. Whenever you have an offline, which only temporarily gets used, and you want to protect the equal flow in your main line, hopefully you have a big storage behind to ensure that the change amount gets supported, then it's all cool. Yeah, with that, bye bye, see you next time. Cheers!